AP Biology, this is meant to be a catch-up day, but I think that a lot of you, it sounds like you're going to need some help with graphs, and especially with putting error bars in graphs. Some of you already know how to do that. You did the drops on the Penny Lab, and you did it there. And if you did, I'm just going to have you go to breakout room and do your own thing, okay? But if you didn't, you may want to come to my breakout room where I'm going to give you some direct instruction on that. First thing I want to do, though, is talk about next Wednesday, the 18th, is going to be the day when you need to come in, and I'm going to put you to your groups, and you're going to work on that group graph CER activity, which is 60% of this lab grade. And in order to do well on that, you need to come into that class next week on Wednesday already with your 2 graphs well made. Okay, and that's what today is about. I mean, if you come out of today and you don't have a well-made graph, you're not paying attention. So if you're here and you're ready to work, that's the right attitude, that's the right way to be, and I will get you there, okay? So that shouldn't be an issue. We're going to have time for that. The other thing that, that you need to come with is some good, solid understanding of enzyme structure and function, and some specific understanding of how lactase works and what it works on, and where in the body it works. Not just in the test tube that we played with, but in the actual human body. So let me show you what you're actually going to see. So first of all, let's go to that. Okay, here it is. Let's just go over the overview of the lab so you know exactly where you are. Mm-hmm. There we go. Okay. All right. So this has been uploaded for you for about a week now, and it's in that Lactase lab folder in your Google Classroom. So what have we done so far? This is what we've done so far. Many of you already did this part. You did the little ed puzzle, the evolution of lactose, and some of the questions I'm going to ask you on next Wednesday, you can find the answers in this ed puzzle. So definitely. You did that. That's the one I'm actually grading. Some of you already got your 10 out of 10 or 9.4 out of 10 or however much you for that. And you just need to do it before you come next Wednesday. And do your very best on it, because if you get 100, you get 10 out of 10. And then the last class we met together, we did this part already, right? So I showed you how to use the simulation. You used it to collect your 2 data sets. You put it in the class data. I checked, I found your name, and you got a 10 out of 10 for that already. That's already done. So these 2 parts you've done, and most of you did very well on that, and you're all set to go for today. And today is about helping you with those graphs, right? So it's the 2 graphs that you're going to create before you come. And I'm actually going to check those for a grade. I'm not going to be real detailed about my grading. I'm just going to check to see that certain things are there. I'm not going to tell you whether they're right or not. Okay, so I'm going to say if it has a title, you get 2 points for that. If the axes are labeled, you get 2 points. If you have a graph curve, you get 2 points for that. I mean, unless you do something really weird, like give me a pie chart, you really, as long as you make 2 graphs and you have error bars attached, which you'll learn how to do today if you don't know how to do, there's no reason you shouldn't get 20 out of 20 on this. Okay, but again, I'm not going to tell you if your title's good. I'm not going to tell you if your axes are labeled correctly. If you didn't include your units, I'm not going to care. I'm just going to give you the points. Okay, but you'll get that grade before you come in next week. And I mean, you have all weekend, you have all today to do it, and you have all weekend to do it. You should be just fine. Okay, you probably leave with it done. And then next week during Wednesday is when you'll do this together. This is when you'll be placed in a breakout group of my choosing to complete a group Google slide presentation using your graphs and what you learned from the ed puzzle and our in-class discussion about enzymes. Follow the directions in the slideshow template. I'm going to show it to you right now. Okay, you're already going to see it. Okay, share your claim and evidence for each graph and answer the reasoning questions to the best of your ability, collaborating with your teammates to upload the best graphs and the most accurate, detailed answers. Okay. So let me just show you what that Google slide template is going to look like, exactly what you're going to get uploaded for you for next Wednesday that you'll work on with your group. So I'll share that. Okay, here it is. This is what it's going to look like. You should be able to see that now. Yes. So Lactase Lab graphs and CER. You're going to type your names here. When you get into your group, you're going to type everybody's name, first and last, please, because sometimes there are last names that are the same, and I need to know who you are. And then here's where you're going to insert your temperature graph. You're going to make it in your Google Sheet, and you're going to share each other's Google Sheets and take a look and see who has the best one, and make sure your title's really there and all the labels are right, and you've got the error bars and everything's correct, and then you put it right here when you feel like you have the best one in the group. Write your claim and evidence together right here just for the temperature data, right? So claim and evidence, you've got that down point, right? So writing a claim is a sentence that describes the data on your temperature graph, describes the relationship between the IV and the DV on the temperature graph. And in terms of these graphs, in terms of how temperature or pH affects enzyme activity, you might find that you would want to use a word like optimal. That might be something you'd want to put in your claim. And in your evidence, remember to be quantitative, to refer to numbers from your graph, and to also, since there are error bars on your graph, those error bars should be discussed in your evidence section. And we're going to talk about how to do that today too. Okay, your pH graph will go here, your group pH graph that everybody agrees is the best one. And then write your claim and evidence for pH on this slide, right? Okay. Now the reasoning questions, there's a few more slides that have some reasoning questions on them. I'm giving you a guided reasoning again, where I'm asking you very specific questions, one at a time, and then you're going to use your knowledge of enzymes and your knowledge of lactase, lactose to answer those questions. And I'm going to tell you ahead of time, okay? I'm going to tell you ahead of time reasoning questions that I wrote for you. I'm asking you about how and where lactase enzymes do their activity in the human body. I'm going to be asking you about that. I'm going to be asking you about the difference too between lactose intolerant people and lactase persistent people, and how that might connect with their DNA, just like the HHMI video talked about, right? And the fate of lactose in a person who's lactose intolerant versus the fate of lactose in a person who's lactase persistent. That shouldn't be difficult if you paid attention to that video. And there's also 3 little YouTubes that I'm also going to show you. I'm not going to show you that anymore. Okay. Let me show you your Google Classroom and show you what's been there all along for you for about a week now. This is 7th period, but you guys have all the same thing. Here's Lactase Lab Materials. Here it is. Right, this is where you find everything. So you have, you now have your period 7 class data for graph making. You'll probably need to open that today if you haven't already. Okay, because that's where you can make your graphs. And there's even a YouTube of me explaining how to use the simulation, although you should already be past that. But if you didn't collect your data the last class, you missed 10 points. And I've already emailed you about that, so you probably need to go in there and get that done. Here it is. Useful YouTubes to prepare for this, the reasoning questions, right? I already showed you this one in class. You don't need to look at that one. But let's see. Yeah, so there's a lactose intolerance little medical video, not very long, it's like 5 minutes, and it shows you exactly. I actually based a question on that particular video. Go look at it. There's an Amoeba Sisters thing that shows, a little cartoon of the lactase enzyme and what it does to the lactose. Kind of a good visual so that you have a good understanding of structure and function of enzymes. They're so user-friendly about explaining. So if you're not sure about that, that's a good one to start with. And then the lactase, this is a very detailed little video. Again, 7 minutes, it's not very long, that goes more into the specific structures of lactose and glucose and galactose and what happens over time with digestion. All right, so these aren't very long, and they might help with some of the reasoning questions. And I'm not grading them, not. But if you take a look at them, it might help you. Okay. Are there any questions so far? So if you haven't started grading yet, I'm sorry, if you haven't started graphing yet, this is what you want to go into today. You each have your own copy and you can start playing around with the data and figuring that out, okay? So that's the end of my sort of class presentation, just in terms of what to expect for next Wednesday, what you need to have ready. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to break you into breakout groups, just like usual. And you can go work on your own if you're all ready to go and you just want to go work on your graph and do it, go ahead. But I'm going to be in my own room, and in my room, if you want to come and listen, I'm going to actually do a demo of creating this graph, okay? And putting error bars on it, and then I'm going to explain what these error bars mean and how to talk about them. So if you want to come and see that, you're welcome. But if you're all set with that, you understand error bars and you're ready to do that on your own, just go do it on your own, okay? And what I will say, to help those of you who are about to go and just do your thing, is that I'm going to make this, I'm just going to front end load this for you. I'm going to give you the answer, okay? You're going to agonize about what type graph to use here. I'm just going to tell you, using a bar graph or using a line graph would both be perfectly fine. Okay, I'm telling you the answer right there. You can use the bar graph or actually sort of that colorful histogram that I should make, that's fine. Or you can use a line graph. Now the only issue is that personally I find it difficult to put error bars on line graphs. So that would be the only reason why you may want to stick with the bar graph for this one. Okay? Okay, can you give me a thumbs up if I have told you what you need to know for this assessment coming up next Wednesday? Yes? Good. Okay, that's good. All right. So glad to hear that. I'm just going to stop.